know, which is what you really want, which is my 5 tips. 5 tips that you don't already know. Are we ready? I should have like numbers fly by. 1. All right. Number 1. Okay, number 1, if you've been watching the show for a while, you probably already know this. But I know a lot of people watching this will hopefully be watching this for the first time and do not already know this. So number 1 tip that you did not know about your shiny new GH5 is that to reprogram the function buttons on the back, you do not have to dig into the deep menu settings. Let's get this so you can see both things going on. There we go. Let's do it like so. All you has to do is press and hold on the button. So let's say FN, I don't even know what number that is. What is that? That is FN4. The FN4 button, right now I've got it set to cycle through my zebras. If I want to change that, press and hold on that button for a couple of seconds, and it pulls up the entire list. So you can find this here, the entire list of the options in there so that you can choose whatever you want. That is insanely cool. This means that you can, at a moment's notice, go, God, this really should do this. Even changing it while you're in the field, you're on a shoot and you find, oh, I need to turn this on and off 5 times over the next 5 minutes. I can very quickly reprogram that into a new command. So that is tip number 1, which I know if you've watched the show before, you might have seen it, Clip talked about it, but it's a biggie. Okay, tip number 2. This is along the lines of the function commands as well. This camera, the GH5, has more customizable function buttons than any Lumix ever made. So you've got the obvious ones that labeled, right, FN1s. Just kind of go through them real quick. You've got up here on the top of the camera, FN1 right there. So there's your first one. And then flip it around the back. And we've got, there's FN2, FN2, FN3, FN4. This one, FN5, is a, that's programmed for the LVF, the live viewfinder, go between the LVF and the LCD. So that you can change. I think most people probably won't want to change that, but that one you can change, so there's that. This one, now I don't know the numbers because they're not labeled anymore. You have this one down here, which by default is set to do a, just like a depth of field preview button. Basically, it does the same thing, but you can program that to be whatever you want. And that on first, oh, and then of course the ones on the screen, right? Let's not forget about those. So if we're looking at the screen, nice fingerprints on there. If I tap the FN button on there, FN button on there we go. That opens up and you have more buttons there. So that would be the most known, those are the buttons. And you go, okay, that's all the buttons. Oh no, oh, there's more. In fact, there's a lot more. Okay, the first place I'll show you, you might have heard about, and that is this fancy little joystick here. The little joystick that is now, for the first time, on a Lumix camera. Lock this thing back in. This guy here. It is here so that you can change your focus point, right? So I can move the focus point around, which I'm going to say most people are probably going to want to leave that way. I think most people are not going to want to change that because that is pretty useful. But if you do want to change it, you can, and you can have it so when you push in, it does one function. Up, down, left, and right can all be different functions. There's 5 more custom functions. But wait, there's more. And this is the really cool one. This is the one that you're going, oh, I guess that maybe I didn't know that. That would be good. Did you know this thing may just be a dial, but it's actually a button? Down, up, right, left, or left, right. I don't know, I'm backwards. So how do you get to those? Well, easiest way, as before, press and hold. Boom, there you go. Default is set to off, but you can set that to whatever you like. Isn't that cool? Come on, give me a that's cool. That's cool. You can now set those up, down, left, and right to be whatever you want. Now, we're doing it by pushing on the button itself, pushing on the physical button, but you can obviously do this through the menus as well. So let's take a quick look at how to do that. Let me pull up the menu on here. And if I go into, let's see here, I think operation, yep, FN button set and record mode. So even here, you might go, well, where are all those other controls? I don't see them, they're missing. Down at the bottom, you see it says display FN12 to FN20. Tap that, and now you see all the other functions. So there's the rockers, 17 through 20. And you can see on the right, you have FN12 through 16, which are the focus buttons. I can't access them because I have that focus rocking thing set to do the focus. But that is, ooh, I don't know, actually, here we go, joystick. Yeah, joystick setting. What do you want it to be? Joystick setting for direct focus movement, which is the default, or function buttons, or to bring up the menu, or just turn it off entirely. So there you go. Lots of cool stuff in there. Okay, real quick, there is another super chat comment that came by Anime again. Thank you, Anime, being very generous today. It says, my GH5 arrived faulty from B&H. When I rotate the screen vlogging style with the camera facing me, the whole image screen flips upside down? Seriously? Okay, hold on. That doesn't make sense. Let me put this back into camera mode. I'm right side up. Let me see. I'm going to unplug the HDMI here so that I can... Oh, see? Solid. Can I get it to... Okay, if I don't tilt it far enough... Here, I think this will be something that will be easier to show like this. Okay, so... Sorry, I'm trying to get the glare off of the screen. Okay, so that's right side up. You can tell, you can see the microphone there, right? You can see the microphone that's right side up. If I tilt it back to a point there... Now it's flipped, but as soon as I keep going, there, and it flips. And I'm let's see, there's a switch inside that's making it flip. There's not a, what do you call it? A gyroscopic thing, because otherwise it would flip when I move the camera. So that's weird. Do a complete reset. Do a reset on the camera. Let me show you how to do that. Let's see here. Incidentally, I've seen 2 people comment on how they could not get their GH5 to enter slow motion mode. What do you call it? VFR mode. They couldn't get VFR to work. And then one of them pointed out that once they did a reset, they could. And so if you're having any issues with the camera, including getting VFR working, do a reset. So let me just show you real quick how to do that. Where are we? Here we go. Go into the menus, and I think it's under this function setting. Let's see here. Is that where it is? Yeah, there we go. So it's page 4 of the wrench mode. That is, let's see here. The wrench mode is called the setup mode. By the way that I'm doing this is hitting the display button on the back. That brings up this extra information. So there you go. Return all settings to shipping conditions. So you hit reset and it'll go through a whole series of them. So if you are having weird troubles like that, Anime, I would say that would be the thing to try and do. I would absolutely do that. And then try again. If it still doesn't work, then yeah, it may actually be damaged. Maybe the switch inside, the little flip switch, is damaged. And who knows? Manufacturing flaw. It's not like, you have to expect this many of any piece of hardware coming off the production line. There's going to be some that have problems with it. That's life. Okay. Excuse me. Let's move on. What is my next tip? So that was 2. That was actually number 3 that I gave you. I kind of went out of order. That's okay. It doesn't matter. It moved right in. Next one. I love this one. Okay, so this is not just on the GH5. It is on a couple of other cameras. It's not on the GH4. Where did I find it? Did I find it on the GX8 or 85? I think on the GX85. But it didn't have a dedicated button, so this is unique in this sense to the GH5. You all know that you have on the top of this camera, you have a plus minus over under exposure button. Or you push that and it's going to bring up your over and under exposure command. So let me turn that off. Let's go back to the iOS only view, or sorry, the camera view. I push that button and it brings up the over and under. So now I can spin my dial to do that. You can, incidentally, you don't have to use that. The way I've got my camera set, the back dial does under over without having to push that button. So I never need to push that button. And I've always set it that way, which is why I didn't realize what I'm about to show you, because I never push that button because I have it set to just spin on the dial. Okay, let's go back into this. I push the button. So on the bottom, again, down, up, right? Look up in the top left corner. What do you see there? You see a little bracketing icon and an off button. And if I now push the up arrow on the wheel, I can cycle through my bracketing setups. So I can very quickly go from non-bracketing to, let's do a 7-shot, 1-stop bracket, and it's all right there. Boom, right there. Isn't that cool? Usually that's buried into the menus or something you have to set up for a custom function, but it's right there. So push that plus minus button, and up in the top right corner it is. All you do is push that button and then up, down, instead of left, right. So left, right gives you your under overexposure, up, down gives you your bracketing setup. I love that one. Okay, next one, this is really cool. This is totally unique to the GH5. This is a totally new feature, but it is a bit buried in there. So if you're using let's see here, I want to set this up. If you are using the autofocus mode direct, what is it called? One area. So the autofocus mode one area, you can now, using the joystick or using your finger on the touchscreen, whatever you like, you can position it around so it focuses wherever you like. Okay, so I don't know, let's say I'm shooting a wedding or something, and I'm shooting a wedding, and so I'm going to focus on the left-hand side because I know that's where I'm going to position the people, right? Fine, right, great. Okay, that's real cool, but then I go, ooh, I want to shoot a vertical picture. I shoot a vertical picture. Well, hold on a second. What just happened? Did you see it move? Did you see it move? So if you just set it on the side and then you go vertical, suddenly your focus point's on the bottom and you're going to move that focus point up, right? Go back to landscape, you're going to move it back over again. The GH5 will allow you to set unique focus points for landscape or vertical orientation. Horizontal, vertical, landscape, portrait, whatever, orientation. I'll show you how this goes. So this is in, let's see here, this is in the focus release shutter. That would make sense. I don't remember where it is. I should have written this down. Pinpoint, here we go. Focus switching for vertical/horizontal. I should have turned this off to start. Let me turn this back off. Let me go back into here. I'm going to position my point over here on the very left-hand side. Very left side, right? There it is. You can see it there. Let's see. Can I hide some more of this display? Okay. Oh, sorry. I forgot. I went to the wrong picture. Yeah. Okay, let me go back to that again. In here, custom focus release shutter. It's on page 2 of 6. Focus switching for vertical horizontal, on or off. So that is now off. I just turned it off. We go back. You see that I've got I'm going to put my focus point over here on the very left-hand side. Oops, I pushed center point. That saved it. Very left-hand side. I rotate the camera. I'm rotating the camera. You'll see that it now, okay, I realize the flaw in demoing it this way is that you are not seeing the image rotate, you're seeing the inside of the image rotate. But you notice that the focus point is not moving. Okay, so now let's go back into these settings, go into here and turn this back on. On it is. And now, so there's my landscape setup, my wide setup. And now I go vertical and I go, okay, where I want my focus point here is to be up in the top left corner. So that is the top left corner. Stick your head sideways. Trust me on this. I'll go back to landscape. Oh, come on now. Oh, now, okay, now I have to set it again. So and there's my landscape one because I just turned it on. So there's my landscape position. Why isn't it going? Oh, for God's sake. You know, never do live demos. Whose idea was it to do a live show? This is stupid. Seriously. It's on. It just worked. Yeah, now it works. What? Okay, let's try that again. Out. There we go. Different position. See that? See how it's moving as I rotate? So you can choose your position. There we go. I think it just hadn't registered the on or off. See that move? That is cool. That is super cool. So when you're doing your portrait shots, you want to have them always to the left-hand side of the frame, top left corner, whatever it is, different orientations. That is a wicked cool GH5 only feature. Okay, last one I'm going to come to in just a moment here. Let me scroll through the comments. A bunch have been flying by. Let's see here. Anybody adding me? Anybody adding me? No, nobody adding me. Super. That makes that easy. Okay, so the last one isn't in the camera, but it's in Lightroom. So you know how if you were a Canon shooter or a I don't know, Fuji shooter or Nikon shooter, whatever, you could, once you imported your pictures, you could go to the camera profile settings and you could choose, what happened here? You could choose one of the built-in camera profiles. That's not because the camera profiles were automatically magically transferred over, it's because someone at Adobe has painstakingly recreated the look and given you a camera profile. So you could say, oh, give me the vivid look, whatever. Lumix cameras have been missing this. It's a very sad thing until now, because now you have that. So watch this. Let's open up Mr. Lightroom here. So I've got a picture here shot yesterday. That is Mount Shasta there. And let's go into the develop module. And let's hide that. Down to the very bottom under camera calibration. So that's just to prove, like I have to prove it, but this is a GH5 photo. So there you go, GH5. You see that right there. There's the GH5, and this is obviously raw. Okay, so let's go back into develop. And back to develop. Under camera calibration, profile, all of the built-in profiles on your Lumix camera. So we can try out the vivid look. We could try out the Cinelike D look. We could try out the camera natural look. All of these are built in allowing you to change them at any point. Change the profile. How cool is that? Did you know that was in there? I'll bet you didn't. And now you do. So there you go. 5 things new to the GH5, 5 tips on the GH5 that you probably didn't know.